Brandon, appreciate you taking a moment while we're here at your Scheels training event to kind of talk about reloading and Scheels in general. It's a really great event you have here, because I think a lot of, we were just kind of talking about a lot of places, a lot of people maybe don't assume they can go to a store anymore and have someone there that knows something about anything. And, you guys are doing a lot here to educate on something that's kind of a complicated process here.
Yeah, well, we want to make sure that we have associates in the stores that are familiar with the reloading category and products like, the coax press from Forster. If a customer walks in and says, hey, do you have a coax press? Our expectation is that they know what it is. So that's like the start. And by doing events like this, we're investing in our associates so they have that background and knowledge, and we appreciate the partnership with brands like Forster to come all this way to train these 50 associates that are here today.
Well, and they can have, they walk in and are maybe surprised that Sheila behind the counter, who's 4'9", can say, yeah, I actually pulled the handle on that and made a round at this training, and this is a few things about it.
Yeah, that's totally the expectation. Events like this give them hands-on experience, not only with the product, but also the brand. It's nice for them to interact with, the people that they would interact with. If they call Forster, they might get you on the phone. And to be able for them to make those connections with the brands that we have here today it's really important for us.
Well, and that support, for a supplier like us, it's like, a lot of our other distributors, it's like, they have a question on this or this isn't working, call Forster. It saves us a lot when someone there can field the simple, hey, your die's in upside down, the things that are the obvious.
We would like to avoid that, but yes, that's the case. We would like the customer experience to be, the best that it can be, and so they look at our experts for, to be true experts in the field and be able to get them started. And be able, if the customer's going to make an investment in a coax press, we want to make sure their customer experience is great. And if they are having a problem, the expectation is they can come back to the store and we're going to be able to get, whatever issue they might have sorted out because of that.
Yeah, and it was quite a few years ago that I think you and I met at a SHOT Show, and we're talking because Forster was selling a lot through like Cabela's Bass Pro, and it was not, for us, a smaller company of 30 people, to have Bass Pro tell us how to, this is how we need everything. We can't compete or always make those same demands like a bigger company can. And so, but we wanted to stay there because it was like really our only in-store presence. But then when you guys came, and it's like, well, we would put your stuff in here because I think we were already in a couple stores. It was just a great opportunity, easy switch for us to say. And then, since then, you guys have grown quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, that was probably like 2017, 18, where like our assortment really started to evolve from not just like milk, bread, and eggs, if you will. We're more than just a source for components. Certainly we want to be the best resource for components for our customers because they're consumables, right? People use them up. Right. But, the flip side of that is we also want to be the source for them when they want to invest in best quality tools and best in class, equipment for reloading. And we feel like Forster's one of those brands. And so like it was important to us that we started to, maintain partnerships with best in class, partners. So, and we are, the antithesis of the big box, we might have big boxes, and yes, our company has grown and our volume has grown with it, but we still feel like, we want to be that resource that for our customers that are like, it's more specialty than it is big box. You might need to walk past an aquarium and a Ferris wheel to go find your coax press, but you're going to find it in the service that you would, like very similar to your local gun shop. We want to make sure that you have that experience for the customer, but then also because like these events like this, we have the experts to help the customer make the right decision.
Yeah. Well, you have something for, my wife that doesn't shoot the nurse to go hang out over here with the kids while I find what exactly I want over here.
Oh, sure. That's the secret sauce, right? Like the the whole family comes, right?
Yeah.
Your wife wants, shoes, your kid needs a soccer ball or whatever,
Yeah.
but then you find yourself, oh wait, they have Forster here,
Yeah.
and truthfully that happens a lot, especially with as Scheels expands, into regions where we haven't been before. Like we've opened a store in Texas, and we got another one coming in Texas, and that's where like people haven't heard of us there because that's out of our where we've been historically.
Yeah.
And they come to a store the first time and they're surprised. They're like, oh, well, I didn't expect somebody like Scheels to have like a coax press,
Yeah.
or like bench rest seating dies. It's like, oh, that's not what I anticipated because they have a Ferris wheel here.
Right.
And like,
right.
we enjoy creating that experience for our customers because then they keep coming back, because they find that they can come and, maybe they're just getting primers today and some tube socks, and that's great. So that is part of the experience.
Yeah. Well, there's not, to get that deep into a line on lots of things. I mean, people used to be able to go to a fleet farm and they can get their, this specific 9mm ammo or this RCBS reloading kit. But beyond that, it's just they have just enough to get you started. Well, you guys can kind of get them started. You can sell them the RCBS set, and then they can be buying a 419 or a Forster 3 years from now.
Bet.
It's
we find that we want to get customers started, and then at every level, because like you said, like not everybody starts buying a Forster coax press.
Right.
Like reloading can be a little bit intimidating. There's a lot of different, parts and pieces to getting started with it. And like, maybe they buy a rock checker kit and then over time they find out, there's some, better equipment here that I'd like to invest in. And then we grow with the customer over time.
They then move from the shop floor position to management and actually got a bonus that they can afford that to get these other pieces. But at least now they've got the fundamentals down and can step into other things. And
and like certainly the market has evolved that way too. Like 20 years ago, or like 25 years ago when I started with Scheels, reloading was basically about, the bulk of the consumer was like, I just want to save a buck. Whether you're reloading shot shells or handgun or rifle ammunition, it was just like, I just want to save some money. But then there was these other guys over there that were like, well, there's a better way to make my ammo specifically for my gun and to perform better, and maybe I can save a buck while I'm at it. And now it's really evolved to, as things have changed post-pandemic, the volume reloading is just like people are still doing it, but now the thing is like, well, I want to make the best ammo on the best equipment. These customers I think today are like, they're okay investing more money in better firearms, and in this case, better rifles. And when they do that, they want better equipment, and that's where like our partnerships with brands like Forster are great because the customers are evolving, and we want to be there with them right from the get-go when they buy a package rifle and a packaged reloader to the day they're buying a $4,000 rifle and a $500 reloading press.
No, that's the thing. I think we're kind of talking reloading a lot because that's what we do. But your store kind of does that. You can start with the Lee, get the rock chucker, and then move up to the Forster, and you can get the Savage Axis, and you can get a Seekins Precision there. I mean, you've got kind of that pretty deep.
Oh yeah. And again, because we have all these other categories, and like my partner Doug and I, then like we use the example, like fly fishing is one of our other categories that we buy for, and like that's very similar to reloading in that like we have a lot of customers that they just want an outfit. They've never fly fished before. They want to get into it. It's like like we're gonna buy a $199 combo, so they can figure it out. And then like 2 years later, they come back and buy a $1,000 Sage rod. It's the same thing in reloading in these categories. We're like, we're there every step of the way, as consumers evolve in their pursuits.
And we kind of talked pandemic and components and things. I mean, it seemed like Scheels was a place you could usually find, some components to go. I mean,
I think everybody in the industry at that time was working really hard, and like I don't think anybody wants to go back and repeat all of that. The sales were great, but man, I felt like we were working 24 hours a day, and nobody wants to do that anymore.
No.
But we're still doing that, and I think that because we feel like we are the best partners in this industry, you know, like we're getting at least our fair share always, and you know, if we're lucky, sometimes we get a little bit more than our fair share. So we try to spread it around, and our stores are working hard too. You know, we got 32 reloading shop managers out there that are looking for stuff every day. That's their job, and it's not just coming from my desk. It's also coming from them at the store, and then that's the difference between us and other people. We have more people doing it all the time.
Well, and that's, I think, you know, if we go to that like reloading space, it's like, it's not that, you know, Brandon from up top told them how to set this up and you need to lay it all out this way. Like that, it seems like that person in the store has a lot of ownership of where they put things and how they put things. And,
you know, Doug and I give them the roadmap to success. You know, and it's up to them to follow it. And, you know, a couple times a year we show up to make sure they're doing it. So,
but then you go up to them and they know where it's at.
Oh, yeah, it's their responsibility to put it there. So,
yeah.
If you're looking for bullet XYZ, it should have a home in the shop and they should know where it's at.
I don't need to call corporate to tell me what aisle and what number this is supposed to be at. And
no, there's, you know, because of our uniqueness, you're not going to go to the Scheels app and find, you know, like, a Hornady EDLM is on this shelf in this aisle. You know, it's not like Home Depot or Lowe's where every one of them is exactly the same.
Exactly.
They have a lot of autonomy for that.
Which allows them to kind of tailor it to the customer that they have in that area. That, you know, it's not in Springfield, Illinois, it's a different shooter than it's in Billings, Montana. So, I mean, how that's presented.
You know, and every market is a little bit different, and that's a good example. You know, Springfield sells a lot of volume handgun reloading stuff, and for whatever reason, and obviously, like, their market is different for big game hunting bullets than Billings, Montana. So if you walk into, you know, the Billings shop, you're going to find a much broader assortment of hunting bullets than you would in Springfield. Not to say Springfield will have the best sellers, but they're not going to have a lot of the fringe stuff that you'd find in Billings because their market is totally different. And we allow the stores that autonomy to tailor their assortment to the mass of the consumer that's coming into their store on a daily basis.
Yeah, well, really appreciate the effort you guys put into that and the thought, and it helps, you know, really help suppliers like us get our, you know, we're a small shop of 30 people to kind of have that kind of arm of our business be to actually move the product out. Be how many employees do you have at Scheels?
Oh man, we're getting close to 10,000 probably. You know, we have 34 stores and a growing e-com business. You know, so like when I moved to the corporate office, which is now called the corporate campus, we had probably like sub 50. Now there's 450 people on campus, and it's pretty wild. But the same thing is, like, our mission hasn't changed, that we're still going to be buying the Forster coax press from the 30 employee, you know, company like Forster, and we appreciate those partnerships because it allows us to have the best assortment in every market. You know, we're not going to ever turn away from that. You know, premium product is really where we're at, and like we're doubling down on that now.
But now, like after today, when we do our training here, there'll be 70, you know, employees that will have touched the coax press, sized on it, kind of went through the whole. We're going to have them load around start to finish, and Vince is going to shoot it at gap grind. So we're putting a lot of faith on what's happening here today.
Yeah, well, Vince is going to get some great ammo.
Yeah.
Like our expectation is that those associates go back to the store, you know, and they spread the Forster love, and they can tell the other associates, like, look, I use this press, and this is why we need to be telling the customers it's a best-in-class item from a great brand.
Yeah. Well, really appreciate the time, Brandon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
You bet.